You know those scenes in movies where generals are standing over a huge campaign map, strategizing where they should deploy their armies? If you've ever wanted to step into that moment and call the shots yourself, Caesar might be the perfect 20-minute solo answer to fill that gap. Now, this isn't a big, immersive storytelling game. I don't feel like I'm Caesar, but I do feel like a commander leaning over a map, eyeing the territories I want to conquer, and running through the enemy's priorities in my head. I know exactly what my opponent wants to do. If I place a legionnaire on the border of Macedonia in Italy, he has to respond in Macedonia, because that's the region where he's losing the most. And his logic will prioritize shoring up his weakest spot, because there are no territories he can close out, which is his top priority. That means on my next turn, I can close out Macedonia and grab the poison bonus, which removes one of his tokens for the rest of the game. That's an advantage because it limits the options he'll have every turn moving forward. But even though I know that's what he wants to do, I'm not safe because he has a couple tiles that allow him to take 2 moves consecutively. And if he flips out one of those double turn tiles, he'll place 1 unit in Macedonia to fix his deficit and then place a second unit to close the region himself. And that means he grabs the poison token instead, which removes one of my tokens and puts me in a hole that's really hard to climb out of. And it's decisions like that, balancing what I know he's going to prioritize with the imperfect information of whether he'll strike twice, that give this game that fog of war uncertainty as you vie for control of each region. It's almost Sun Tzu-like. You're leveraging near-perfect information, exploiting weaknesses, and trying to steer the enemy into suboptimal moves you can capitalize on, all while timing everything around the one thing you can't fully predict, when he'll suddenly act twice. In Caesar, mastering the indirect path wins the war. And speaking of the war, there are 2 ways to win it. The first is simple. Place all 12 of your control markers on the board. I'll show you exactly how that happens in a minute. The second is harsher. If on your turn you can't place a token, you lose. And this is where those poison tokens become incredibly valuable. On your turn, you'll place one of your tokens on a border between 2 regions. Each side of that token contributes its strength to the region it touches. But not every token can go everywhere. Some unit types only fit certain borders. And that matters, because as the map fills up, your placement options get tighter and tighter. Suddenly, the difference between having 3 token options and only 2 becomes painfully obvious. You might not have the unit you need for that critical border, and missing that one placement can lose you the region. This is the real decision space of Caesar. Where you place a unit and how much strength you're contributing on each side, factoring in the tactical boost that reshaped the battlefield. You see, when a player fills the last open border space of a region, they immediately collect the yellow bonus token inside. Then you total the strength of every border token around that region, and the player with the higher value places their control marker inside it. You'll also place control markers on the borders of adjacent regions where you already have influence. Sometimes 1 extra marker, sometimes more, depending on how the board has developed. Those yellow tokens are a reward in themselves, because when you close out a region, you get the bonus no matter whether you win the region or you lose it. And if the region ends up ending in a tie, no control marker is placed. I've already touched on the value of the poison token, that nasty one that decreases the available token options your opponent has for the rest of the game. On the opposite end is the wealth token, which lets you add an extra token to choose from each turn. More tokens means more options, and in Caesar, every option has the potential to conquer a territory. There's also the tactics token, which gives you an immediate extra turn right after this one. These don't chain together turns. You only get 1 bonus turn, but you can imagine how huge that can be at the right moment. The Centurion token lets you add a randomly drawn buffed unit token from a small set-aside pool to your immediately available options. Not the token I'm always hunting for, but not one I'd ever turn away either. And these bonuses matter way more than you'd think, because each is a tiny gear that can turn the entire map. Another powerful one is the Might token. It lets you flip one of your opponent's border tokens face down, turning it into a 0/0 strength token. It doesn't affect regions already decided, but it can absolutely swing control of a future conquest or 2. And then there's the one that can truly swing the whole war, the Roman Senate token. For every Senate token you control, you place it on the bottom row of your board. Then, if you win the region you collected it from, you place a number of extra control markers equal to the total number of Senate tokens you've earned so far. So let me make this clear, because this is an important one. If you pick up your third Senate token and you win that region, you'll place 3 control markers below that Senate token, in addition to the control marker for winning the region itself and any control markers gained from adjacent regions you already influence. And so the saying goes, he who controls the Senate controls Rome. Alright, so now that you know what you're fighting for, let me quickly show you how your opponent thinks. Crassus works off a deck of 6 AI tiles, and you can actually customize which tiles go into that deck to tailor the difficulty exactly how you like it. On his turn, he flips an AI tile that tells him to draw either 1 or 2 tokens from his bag and add them to the right side of his token row. Then he plays a token for each green checkmark he has using simple, intuitive logic. You'll reference the rulebook at first, but his priorities are intuitive and you'll catch on quicker than you think. The first thing he's going to want to do is to close out a region. First, if he can win the region, he will use the lowest power token possible. He will also close out a region even if he's going to lose it. Again, he will use the lowest power token possible to close the region out. This way he prevents you from collecting the yellow bonus token. It is important to note that the AI does not use any of the yellow bonus tokens except for the poison token and the Senate token. The others he just discards. After that, he's going to reinforce the region. He's losing the most with the strongest token possible. And I find this to be the one I use most often to place my unit knowing he'll counter and place one of his units to answer my aggression. Sometimes it pays dividends and other times it backfires completely. His next priority is going to be to reinforce any region he has presence in and is closest to winning with the highest power token. After that, it'll be a region adjacent to one he controls, and then a central region using the highest token possible for both those priorities. And when the AI has multiple regions, spaces, or tokens that all have the same priority, the rulebook has tiebreakers for which one I'll choose. Some of them you'll catch on to quicker than others. Some AI tiles will discard one of the extra tokens he drew this turn, and he always discards the leftmost token in his row. His turns become smooth, and once you get the feel for his priorities, you will crush easy and medium modes. It's the double turn tiles that keep you honest. I like to use 2 of them, adding in the one that lets him draw one of his elite tokens. And then you'll take your turn. You'll place your token down, hopefully collect the yellow bonus token and put down some control markers for yourself, and then you'll draw a new token from the bag and put it down in front of you for your available tokens. That's it. But don't get me wrong, deciding where to go each turn is the real meat of this game. So instead of walking through more details, let's zoom out and talk about why this system actually works. There is very little hidden information in Caesar. You can see every region, you can see who's winning, you can see how many border spaces are left before a conflict closes, and you can see the yellow bonus tokens that are at stake. The only thing you don't know is which tokens you and the AI are going to be pulling out of the bag and which action tile he's going to be flipping over. And even that you have controlled information over. You just don't know whether or not the timing is going to fall in your favor or not. Caesar isn't immersive in a narrative sense. There's no campaign, there's no branching stories, but it is immersive in a strategic way. I am reading over the map, mulling over the decisions as I am looking at the units I have available, figuring out where I can place them on the map to force the AI to go to a place and then close out that region the next turn. And then if my plan goes to shit, is there a surrounding region that I can follow it up and maybe claim a bonus yellow token by closing out one of those regions? And is it worth it? You know, this game ends up with a much chunkier decision space than I expect in a very satisfying way. And thanks to the randomized yellow bonus tokens, every game, it's like a little bit of a different puzzle depending how the game plans, how the game ends up playing out. Not only that, but I can see this being an excellent 2-player game that you won't ever get tired of. If I play this game 50 times in a row or 30, I don't know how many, will I eventually come to an optimized strategy where, okay, if there's a wealth token here and a Senate token, always take this and kind of go on autopilot? Maybe that's a possibility down the road, but by the time I get to that place, I will have reached more than enough value out of this game, and I'm okay with that. This is an excellent game that gets to the table in under 5 minutes. I really do feel like I'm in a war tent mulling over my troop location, and thanks to the push your luck mechanic, of not knowing what my opponent's going to do, that really ties it together and brings it home. That was a great design choice for this game. This game's been out for a couple years, so it's readily available. If you like what you saw in the video, I recommend you pick it up. if it captured your interest. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next video.